Hi, so I'm going to show you how to make sponge cake, which was very, very popular for tea time in the 19th century. So very appropriate for our class today. So this recipe is super easy. It really only has a few ingredients, and I have them laid out here so you can see. So we need 3 1/3 cup of sifted flour. So I've already sifted that. Then just a pinch of salt over here, and 10 eggs separated. So I've separated most of them, but I just wanted to show you, there's a couple different methods to separate eggs. So here they are. I have the whites and the yolks, and I have the one remaining that I need to get to 10. And I'm just going to kind of click it against the bowl here. And we want the white to slide in first. And you just kind of transfer the yolk back and forth. And this one's breaking, and that's always a tricky thing. And so another thing you can do is just kind of go like this to make it fall through. And then we're going to push it right in the other bowl there. That happens, obviously I just rinsed my hands off since I had some of the egg on my hands. But sometimes you have to do that, or some people prefer that method to kind of slide the white through your fingers instead of transferring it back and forth between eggshells. So I have the eggs now, and also what we need to do, we have to have 2 1/2 cups of granulated sugar ready. And you can see, you're like, what is that yellow stuff? I've already grated some lemon peel. Since this sponge cake, really the main flavoring is lemon in this. And we had to grating the lemon peel and really imparts more of the lemon flavor. So I just wanted to show you how I did that. I have a microplane grater, which is fabulous for getting the lemon peel in there, and you just kind of go back and forth like this, and as you can see, it really comes off, and then you can just kind of pat it down, and it keeps it pretty much in this grater, so it doesn't really make a huge mess too, which is always a bonus. Okay, so we have that, and then we're going to take the juice of the whole lemon as well. If you don't want that much lemon flavor, feel free to use less, like just use a teaspoon or a tablespoon, whatever you prefer. I have the lemon, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I just need to get a knife here. So I'm just going to cut the lemon in half. And this is my lemon. I have a zester, a juicer like this. I have the lemon juice here ready to go. And now we're going to take the egg yolks and beat them slightly. And then we're going to add the sugar and lemon juice. So I have now I know in the Victorian times they wouldn't have had a stand mixer like this, but I always kind of use these in my demos, whatever modern conveniences we have, because the Victorians actually embraced technology. The egg beater was actually invented during the Victorian era, the ice box, all these things, baking powder. So they use these newfangled contraptions, if you want, for a better word. They were baking conveniences that helped make things easier for women. So I'm going to use my stand mixer to demo this to you today. So I have the egg yolks. I'm going to go ahead and put them in. And I'm going to start beating them at about a medium. And just really, just beat them slightly just so they kind of mixed together. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the sugar and the lemon juice. So here's the sugar with the lemon in it. I'm just going to pop this up to make it a little easier to dump the sugar in. So I have that. And then for the lemon juice, I'm going to strain it through a little strainer. I have one here right in the drawer. Because there's a few little seeds in here, plus just to make it so that there's not extra pieces of lemon or pulp or anything. So I'm just going to kind of go through my little strainer thing. There we go. Got that. Put that aside. And so then I'm going to beat these together again, just so they're incorporated together. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to beat just the egg whites together until they're stiff, which is usually about 4 to 5 minutes. And then we'll add them to the egg yolk mixture. So we just take the egg whites and we're going to dump them in. So I had to get a different mixing bowl, and I cleaned off the beater. And we're just going to, again, at like a medium speed, we're going to beat the egg whites. And we want to add just a pinch of salt to that as well. So I'm going to take egg whites, and for them to be stiff, I'm going to try to move this over so you can see here. They should stand straight up when you pull this away, and you can see that they're stiff there. There's different tutorials on how to beat egg whites if you're not clear, but really 4 to 5 minutes usually, and just keep your eye on them. So I'm going to put this aside. We're going to put in the egg yolks, mix it in with the whites. So I'm going to put this back on. And here's the egg yolk mixture, you can see there. And I'm just going to pour that in, mix together. It helps to use a rubber scraper to kind of scrape everything out of the bowl here. I'm going to mix the two together. And really they need to be just folded in, so you could even, you don't even really have to use this for too long, and just use that rubber scraper to kind of fold them in. In fact, I'll take this off now, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I have the scraper, and I'm just kind of mixing it, so it's incorporated here. So really the longest part of this recipe is separating the eggs and then beating the egg yolks and whites separately. And I didn't mention in the beginning, but it really helps to get your ingredients up to room temperature. So, just put the eggs out on the counter for a little while. It just helps beat the egg whites a little bit easier. So that looks pretty good mixed together. And now I'm just going to fold in the flour. So we're going to do it just a little bit at a time. So a little there, and I'm just going to kind of fold it in. And the type of pan that we're going to use for this is called a tube pan, which is also used for angel food cake, and that's going to really get it to to rise. It allows the cake to rise, and really, this cake doesn't have any rising agent like a baking powder or baking soda. It's the eggs that are really going to help do that, because we beat the egg whites until they were stiff. Okay, so probably if you do mix the flour in 3 different times, it's probably pretty good. It does take a little while to because you really want it to mix in, and it kind of even reminds you of an angel food cake batter when you mix it in, except for that it's yellow from the egg yolks, and angel food cake just has egg whites in it, so that's a big difference there. I'm still folding it in. I want to make sure it's all incorporated, because if it's not all mixed in correctly, the cake could have streaks in it, for one thing, and just really not cook evenly throughout. So let's just, we have the last little bit here. And I'm going to actually get a wooden spoon to finish the rest. Show you that's what it looks like there. And here's my tube pan, and it should be ungreased, so you don't even have to worry about greasing it in any way. And then you're just going to pour it into the pan, watching out for the middle. You know, it has that hole in the middle to help the air circulate throughout. So you just have to make sure you don't pour any in that down the middle. We have it all in the pan, and you can see there's a couple little drippy areas. I'm just going to take my cloth and kind of wipe them, because otherwise they kind of stick and burn. So, okay. So now, this cake goes into an oven that's been preheated at 325 degrees, so it's a pretty lower temperature, and it's going to go for an hour. Okay, so it's been an hour. We're going to take the cake out of the oven. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Great. I need 2 pot holders for this one. And just to show you, it's just really nicely, you know, you can kind of pat the surface. It's going to be moist. I'm going to put it here just for a second while I close my oven. Because this type of cake in the tube pan, it's going to cool differently. We don't put it on a rack. We actually turn it upside down on a bottle. So I'm going to show you how I do that. And you have to do it pretty carefully here with 2 pot holders. And then you just kind of go like this. And it'll sit on the bottle very nicely for, you know, I'll let it cool for at least a half hour. And then I'll show you how I'm going to take it out of that pan and then plate it. We'll figure out how I'll show you different ways to do that. Okay? Okay, so the cake has cooled, and now I'm going to show you how we can take it out of the tube pan. And I have a cake plate over here that we're going to put it on, and then I'm going to show you the different options that you could use if you're serving it for tea. So let me just kind of show you. So I have a serrated knife, and it really helps to just kind of, you know, go down here along the edges to really get it loosened up. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over and put it on this cake plate. Let's see. So you just kind of go like this. Whoop. Pop it out. And then you just take this knife, actually a thinner, I got out a thinner one. That sometimes helps a little bit better to kind of, you can kind of turn it over, and you could sprinkle this with some confectioner sugar and just do that and have that be kind of what you like, or you can plate it with some whipped cream and berries, which I'm going to show you how to make real whipped cream and then show you what the different options would look like. So here I'm going to show you how to make whipped cream from scratch. Feel free to use the stuff that you get in the can, but I really like to use real cream to make whipped cream because, number one, that's what the Victorians would have done, and number two, it really is much better tasting. It doesn't have any artificial ingredients, it's just heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of confectioner sugar, which is the powdered sugar, and then it's optional, but I like to put in like a half teaspoon of vanilla extract. So, and the other part of this is, so here's my mixer, and I've already cleaned the bowl and the beater. I had put them in the freezer because when they're nice and cold, that's the best. It whips the cream better and quicker. But let's get going and see. I'll show you how it works. So you just put in the cream, confectioner sugar, and half teaspoon of vanilla. Here we go. And like I said, this is optional. I just think it gives it a little extra oomph. Okay. There we go. And then this is going to go at a pretty high speed. And there's no real rhyme or reason to how long it might take, but you know, just really watch it, because if it goes too long, then you're going to get butter. So, you know, we'll see. It's usually a couple minutes, but you just really have to, like I said, keep an eye on. Okay, so to put some confectioner sugar on top, I have one of these little, this is like a little shaker that has confectioner sugar in it, and you can just, it really makes it look pretty to kind of sprinkle it on. You could put a doily under here first if you want to have the whole cake kind of displayed for the tea, but it looks really pretty, as you can see, with the confectioner sugar like that. And honestly, you could just serve it, like you could just cut, I'm cutting, so you can see I'm cutting the piece. You could just cut regular pieces of this cake and serve it just like this, you know, like pieces. You could cut them into little cubes and put them in a tea basket like that. That's something they did, or slices. Or you can cut a slice. Do that. Put it on a really pretty plate like this. And here's the whipped cream that I made earlier. So, oops, I'm just going to move this over a little bit. And I have some fresh raspberries. Kind of put those, oops, I'm just going to kind of, they're still a little wet because I rinsed them off. So I'm going to put those on the side. And then the whipped cream. And just kind of dab that on where you'd like it. Oop, a little bit fell off. We'll just kind of get that to go. And there you go. You know, you could just serve it just like this. And, you know, either way would be totally fine to serve for a tea, because they would do it all different ways like that. So, thanks.